The alarm bells rang across Nexus Prime Station like the cry of a dying animal. Commander Juan stood at the observation deck, watching the emergency lights flash red against the darkness of space. In his 30 years of military service, he had never heard the station-wide panic signal before. Today, the sound meant something terrible had happened. "Commander, you need to see this," called Dr. Su Jin from the communication console. Her voice carried a tone he had never heard from her before. Fear. Juan walked over to where she stood, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. The star map of the galaxy rotated slowly in front of them, showing thousands of bright points representing solar systems. But now 3 entire sectors on the outer rim showed as black empty space. "What am I looking at?" Juan asked, though he already suspected the answer would change everything. "The Kepler sector, the Vanguard systems, and the entire outer reach," Sujin said quietly. "They're gone. All of them. 15 solar systems, 37 inhabited worlds, over 2 billion lives. Just gone." The word hung in the air between them. Gone did not mean destroyed. Gone meant something far worse. It meant erased, as if they had never existed at all. A chime sounded, and the smooth voice of the station computer announced, "Emergency Council session beginning in Conference Chamber 1. All delegates report immediately." Juan straightened, his uniform jacket. As the human representative to the Galactic Council, he had attended hundreds of meetings over the past 5 years. Most dealt with trade disputes, territorial boundaries, or resource allocation. None had ever been called with such urgency. The walk to the conference chamber felt longer than usual. Other delegates moved through the corridors with quick, nervous steps. The tall, crystal-like Vorth moved in groups, their bodies chiming with worry. The flowing, ghost-like Quilani seemed to flicker more than usual, a sign of distress in their species. Even the insect-like Kreks clicked their mandibles rapidly, their version of anxiety. Juan entered the chamber to find chaos. The circular room, designed to hold representatives from 12 species in perfect harmony, buzzed with frightened conversations in a dozen different languages. At the center, the great holographic display showed the same terrible sight Sujin had shown him. 3 black holes in the map where star systems used to shine. "Order! Order!" called Chancellor Vex, the chamber's moderator. The elderly Althan raised his forearms for silence. "We must have calm to address this crisis." The room gradually quieted, but the tension remained thick in the air. "As you all know," Chancellor Vex began, "we have lost contact with 3 entire sectors. Our fastest scouts report the same thing. Where once there were stars, planets, and civilizations, now there is only empty space, not destroyed, not conquered. Simply absent." Speaker Zenth of the Vorth stepped forward. The crystal being's body rang like a bell as he moved. "We have analyzed the quantum signatures of the affected areas. The energy patterns match historical records from the Great Silence." Cold chill ran through the chamber. The Great Silence was a legend, a myth told by the oldest civilizations. It spoke of cosmic entities that came from the void between galaxies, consuming everything in their path. Most species considered it a story to frighten children. "The Devourers," whispered Representative Quill of the Quilani. Her ethereal form flickered with terror. "The old legends speak true. They have returned." The chamber erupted in panic once again. Species that had lived in peace for centuries suddenly spoke of ancient escape plans. The Vorth mentioned retreating to their home dimension. The Kilani talked of phase-shifting their entire civilization to parallel realities. Others spoke of hiding in dead space or fleeing to distant galaxies. Juan listened to it all with growing amazement. These were the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Some had mastered time travel. Others could reshape matter with their thoughts. A few had transcended physical existence entirely. Yet faced with this threat, their first instinct was to run. "What about evacuation protocols?" he asked, speaking up for the first time. The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to him. Juan continued, "what about the younger species, the ones without interdimensional travel or phase-shifting technology?" What about the colonies that cannot evacuate themselves? Speaker Zenth's crystalline body dimmed. Human commander, you must understand. The devourers cannot be fought. They exist beyond our physical laws. They consume the very fabric of space and time. Evacuation is impossible for species without advanced escape technologies. So we abandon them? Juan asked. We leave billions of beings to die because they lack the right technology? Representative Quill flickered forward. It is not abandonment, human commander. It is survival. The devourers consumed entire galactic clusters in the ancient past. They are forces of nature, like supernovas or black holes. One does not fight a hurricane. One seeks shelter. Around the chamber, other delegates nodded in agreement. They had already made their choice. Chancellor Vex looked directly at Juan. And what of humanity's evacuation plans, Commander? Your species has been part of the galactic community for only 3 centuries. Surely Earth has prepared for such possibilities? Juan stood slowly. He thought of Earth, with its blue oceans and green continents. He thought of the colonies humanity had built with sweat and determination. Mars with its domed cities. Europa with its underwater settlements. The mining stations in the asteroid belt where engineers like Mi Young worked to build better lives for their families. He thought of humanity's history. Every time they had faced impossible odds, they had found the same answer. They did not run from the impossible. They ran toward it. We have no evacuation plan, Juan said quietly. The chamber stirred with what might have been sympathy. We have no dimensional refuges or parallel realities to escape to, he continued. We cannot phase shift our solar systems or hide in dead space. The delegates began to murmur amongst themselves. Some seemed to pity the primitive humans trapped by their limited technology. So what will humanity do? Asked Speaker Zenth, his crystal form chiming with curiosity. Juan looked around the chamber at these advanced beings, these masters of science and technology who had chosen fear over hope. He thought of Captain Dong Ho commanding Earth's defense fleets. He thought of President Jae-won addressing the United Earth Assembly. He thought of ordinary people like Corporal Boram, serving on distant colonies with nothing but human courage to protect them. We will fight, he said simply. The chamber fell completely silent. Commander, Chancellor Vex said gently, perhaps you do not understand the scale of this threat. The Devourers have consumed entire galaxies. They exist outside normal space-time. They cannot be reasoned with or defeated through conventional means. I understand perfectly, Juan replied. You are telling me that my species, my home, my people face extinction from an enemy that cannot be fought or stopped. You are telling me that the logical choice is surrender. He paused, looking each delegate in the eye. And I am telling you that humanity has never been accused of being logical. One by one, the delegates began to file out of the chamber. The Vorth spoke of dimensional barriers to construct. The Quilani discussed phase shift schedules. The Krex planned deep space hibernation protocols. Each species had somewhere to run, somewhere to hide. Within an hour, the Great Council chamber stood empty except for a single human commander, looking out at the stars where an ancient enemy approached with the patience of eternity and the hunger of the void. Juan activated his communication device. This is Commander Juan to Earth Command. Send word to all human colonies and outposts. Tell them we have a fight on our hands. Tell them the enemy is beyond anything we have ever faced. Tell them the other species have chosen to retreat. He paused, watching the stars shine in the darkness. And tell them that we choose to stand. 3 days after the Galactic Council abandoned them, Dr. Sujin had not slept. Her laboratory on Earth hummed with activity as dozens of scientists worked around the clock. Coffee cups and food containers covered every available surface. The air smelled of stress, sweat, and determination. Show me the readings again, she said to her assistant, Dr. Young-min. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the energy signatures from the consumed sectors. Sujin studied the data for the 100th time, looking for something everyone else had missed. The other species had centuries of research on the Devourers. Humanity had 3 days and whatever scraps of information they could gather. There, she said suddenly, pointing at a small anomaly in the data. Look at this quantum fluctuation pattern. It repeats every 4.7 seconds. Young Min leaned closer. What does it mean? I am not sure yet, but it means something. Pure energy. Beings do not have regular patterns unless... She paused, her mind racing. Unless they are feeding. Across the room, Engineer Mi Young looked up from her workstation. She had been analyzing the wreckage of alien ships that had tried to fight. The Devourers. The results were not encouraging. Advanced energy weapons had no effect. Particle beams were absorbed instantly. Even the most sophisticated quantum torpedoes simply vanished. Dr. Su-jin, Mi Young called. I think I found something strange. Su-jin hurried over to look at Mi Young's analysis. The engineer had been studying the battle footage from a Vorth research vessel that escaped the destruction. The crystal ship's sensors had recorded everything before retreating to their home dimension. Watch this, Mi Young said, replaying the footage. The Devourer consumes the Vorth ship's energy weapons easily, but look what happens when the ship loses power and switches to emergency chemical thrusters. On the screen, the massive cosmic entity paused. For just a moment it seemed to hesitate before continuing its consumption. Chemical thrusters, Su-jin whispered. Primitive combustion engines. It paused, Mi Young said excitedly. For 2.3 seconds it actually paused. Meanwhile, 500 light-years away, Captain Dong-ho prepared for humanity's first direct encounter with the Devourers. His fleet of 23 ships waited at the edge of the Kepler defense line. They were not impressive vessels by galactic standards. Most were converted cargo haulers and mining ships equipped with nuclear weapons and kinetic cannons. All ships report ready, Captain, announced his communications officer, Lieutenant Hae-jin. Dong-ho stared out at the empty space where the Kepler sector had once flourished. Somewhere in that darkness, the Devourers moved toward the inner systems, toward Earth. Remember, he broadcast to his fleet, we are not here to win. We are here to learn. Every piece of data we gather might help Dr. Su-jin find a weakness. The first Devourer appeared like a tear in reality itself. It was not a creature in any sense humans could understand. It looked like living darkness, shot through with veins of hungry light. It was beautiful and terrifying, ancient beyond measure. Dong-ho had faced enemy fleets before, but nothing had prepared him for the sheer wrongness of this thing. It did not belong in their universe. It was a piece of the void between stars, given purpose and hunger. All ships open fire, he ordered. 23 ships unleashed everything they had. Nuclear missiles streaked through space. Kinetic projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. Laser cannons and particle beams lit up the darkness. The Devourer consumed the energy weapons like a whale filtering krill from the ocean. The sophisticated attack simply vanished into its dark mass, but when the kinetic projectiles hit, something different happened. The entity shuddered. Did you see that? Shouted Lieutenant Hae-jin. I saw it, Dong-ho replied, hardly believing his eyes. It felt the kinetic strikes. The Devourer turned toward their fleet with what might have been curiosity. It began to move closer, and Dong-ho felt the reality around his ship begin to bend and twist. All ships retreat, he ordered. We got what we came for. Only 12 ships made it back to the rally point, but they carried precious information. Kinetic weapons could affect the Devourers, not hurt them perhaps, but make them notice. Back on Earth, President Jae-won addressed the United Earth Assembly. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every nation, their faces grim but determined. My fellow humans, he began. 3 days ago, we learned that ancient enemies have returned to our galaxy. These Devourers have already consumed billions of lives. The advanced alien species have chosen to flee. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Some might call this abandonment. I call it an opportunity. For the first time in galactic history, humanity stands alone as the defenders of all life that cannot escape. He paused, letting his words sink in. We have always been told that we are primitive, that our technology is crude compared to the great civilizations of the galaxy. Today I say that our crudeness might be our greatest strength. The president activated a holographic display showing Captain Dong Ho's battle footage. Our brave Captain Dong Ho and his fleet have discovered something the advanced species missed. These entities can be affected by physical force. Not energy, not exotic matter, not quantum weapons. Old-fashioned kinetic impact. The assembly stirred with something like hope. I am therefore announcing the largest military mobilization in human history. Every nation will contribute. Every factory will be converted to war production. Every mining operation will focus on gathering raw materials for kinetic weapons. Dr. Sujin's voice came through the communication system from her laboratory. Mr. President, we have made a breakthrough. The Devourers feed on organized energy, stars, fusion reactors, sophisticated power systems. But they seem to have difficulty processing chaotic energy patterns. Explain, the president said. Chemical explosions, kinetic impacts, nuclear fission rather than fusion. These create quantum signatures that are messy, unpredictable. The Devourers can absorb them, but it takes effort. It slows them down. Engineer Mi Young added her analysis. I have been studying our most primitive technologies. Chemical rockets, gunpowder weapons, steam engines. They all create quantum noise that seems to annoy these creatures. The assembly began to buzz with excitement. President Jae-won smiled for the first time in days. So you are telling me that our primitive technology is not a weakness but a weapon? Exactly, Dr. Soo-jin replied. While the other species developed clean, efficient energy systems, we kept our messy, loud, explosive technology. The Devourers expect order. We give them chaos. Admiral Sunwoo, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, stood up. Mr. President, I volunteer to coordinate the defense effort. If we are going to fight these things with primitive weapons, we need to think like primitive warriors. Agreed, the president said. Admiral Sunwoo, you have command of all Earth forces. Dr. Soo-jin, continue your research. Find us more weaknesses. Engineer Mi Young, I want you to design the most chaotic, noisy, explosive weapons you can imagine. As the assembly dispersed, to begin the great work, Dr. Soo-jin returned to her laboratory with new purpose. She looked at the data from Captain Dong Ho's battle and smiled. Young Min, she called to her assistant. Start collecting information on every primitive human technology you can find. Cannons, combustion engines, chemical explosives, anything that makes noise and chaos. Why? He asked. Because we are going to teach the universe that sometimes the best answer to perfection is a good old-fashioned mess. Outside the laboratory, windows, Earth cities began to transform. Factories retooled their assembly lines. Military bases expanded overnight. Ordinary citizens volunteered for what everyone knew might be a hopeless fight. But hope, Soo-jin reflected, was the most human thing of all. Even when faced with cosmic forces beyond understanding, humans looked for a way to fight back. They would find weakness in strength, opportunity in despair, and weapons in their own primitive past. The Devourers had consumed galaxies, but they had never faced anything quite like humanity. They were about to learn why being primitive was not always a disadvantage. 3 months into the war, the human colony of New Seoul burned in the distance. Corporal Boram crouched in the ruins of what had been a shopping center, watching the Devourer consume the orbital defense platforms. The massive entity moved like liquid shadow against the stars, feeding on the energy of dying ships. She was alone now. Her unit had been evacuated 2 days ago, but someone needed to stay behind to monitor the enemy. Boram had volunteered, knowing it was probably a death sentence, but someone had to gather information for Dr. Soo-jin's research team. Her makeshift communication array sparked and hissed beside her. She had built it from parts scavenged across the colony. A Krex translator unit connected to human quantum, processors powered by a chemical battery she had made from cleaning supplies. It should not have worked, but somehow it did. This is Lighthouse Base to any human vessels, she broadcast. Devourer behavior update. The entity spent 4 hours consuming the fusion reactor but ignored the old coal power plant completely. Her transmission crackled with static. The jury-rigged equipment was falling apart, but it still functioned. What happened next changed everything. The Devourer, which had been steadily moving toward the colony's center, suddenly stopped. Its dark mass rippled like disturbed water. Then, to Bahram's amazement, it began moving away from her position. She looked down at her communication array. The device was sparking more than usual, creating a field of chaotic electromagnetic interference. Whatever signals it was producing, the devourer clearly did not like them. "Interesting," she whispered, making notes on her tablet. "Entity actively avoids chaotic electromagnetic signatures." Bahram spent the next 6 hours experimenting. She connected more incompatible technologies together. A Vorth crystal resonator attached to human speakers. Quilani phase shift generators powered by gasoline engines. Each combination created more chaos, and each time, the devourer moved further away. By the time the evacuation ship arrived to collect her, Bahram had created a dead zone 30 kilometers wide. The devourer would not enter the area around her position. Her discovery changed the entire war. Dr. Sujin studied Bahram's data with growing excitement. The young corporal had proven that humans could create technology the devourers found genuinely repulsive. Not just annoying or difficult to process, but actually painful to these cosmic entities. "It is the quantum discord," Sujin explained to President Jae-won during their video conference. "When we combine technologies that were never meant to work together, we create interference patterns that hurt them." "How badly does it hurt them?" the president asked. "Badly enough that they avoid it completely." Corporal Bahram's jury-rigged equipment created a safe zone. "If we can scale this up," Engineer Mi Young interrupted from her workshop. "I have been working on that problem. Give me 6 months and unlimited resources, and I can build chaos generators powerful enough to protect entire star systems." President Jae-won leaned forward. "You have whatever you need. Money, materials, personnel. The entire human race is behind this project." The next 3 months saw humanity transform into something the galaxy had never seen before. Every shipyard, every factory, every research facility focused on a single goal. They would build the most chaotic, incompatible, jury-rigged technology possible. Admiral Sunwoo coordinated the military effort from Earth's primary command center. The walls were covered with tactical displays showing human fleets across the galaxy. Each ship was unique, cobbled together from scavenged alien technology and human engineering. "Status report," he called to his staff. "New Tokyo Defense Fleet. Reports successful test of Chaos Drive Mark III," announced Commander Hwan, who had returned from the abandoned Galactic Council station. The devourer attempting to consume the Titan mining facility retreated after 6 hours of exposure. "Excellent. What about Captain Dongho's strike force? Still engaging the entity at Proxima Station? His ships are using the new quantum discord weapons. Early reports suggest the devourer is actually taking damage." Sunwoo allowed himself a small smile. For the first time since the war began, humans were not just slowing the devourers down. They were hurting them. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Young Min, Sujin's assistant, had been studying the quantum patterns created by human emotions: fear, anger, hope, determination. Each emotion created its own unique electromagnetic signature. "Dr. Sujin," he called excitedly, "you need to see this. I was analyzing the data from Captain Dongho's battles, and I found something amazing. The holographic display showed the quantum signatures present during each engagement. The chaotic technology created interference, but there was another pattern underlying everything. A signature that appeared strongest when humans were fighting desperately against impossible odds." "What am I looking at?" Sujin asked. "Human determination," Young Min replied. "When our people refuse to give up, when they keep fighting even, when everything seems hopeless, they generate quantum patterns that amplify the chaos effect." Sujin stared at the data. "You are telling me that our stubbornness is literally weaponized? Not just stubbornness, hope, courage, the refusal to surrender. These emotions create quantum discord that the devourers find physically painful. It was the most human discovery imaginable. While other species had fled in logical fear, humanity's irrational determination to fight had become their greatest weapon." Engineer Mi Young incorporated this discovery into her latest designs. The new chaos generators did not just combine incompatible technologies. They were operated by human crews who understood exactly what they were fighting for. Every operator was a volunteer who had lost friends, family, or homes to the Devourers. "I call it the Hope Engine," she announced to the engineering team. "It runs on quantum discord, incompatible technology, and pure human stubbornness." The first full-scale test took place at the Mars Defense Platform. The Hope Engine was massive, covering an area the size of a city. It combined technology from 7 different alien species, powered by fusion reactors that were deliberately designed to be unstable. When they activated it, the quantum chaos was visible to the naked eye. Space itself seemed to ripple and spark around the device. The electromagnetic interference was so intense that normal communication became impossible. The Devourer approaching Mars stopped as if it had hit a wall. For the first time since the war began, one of these cosmic entities seemed genuinely afraid. "It is working," breathed Dr. Sujin, watching from the observation deck. "The entity is retreating," but their celebration was short-lived. Long-range sensors detected something that chilled everyone to the bone. More Devourers were coming, dozens of them converging from across the galaxy. "They are calling for reinforcements," Admiral Sun Wu realized. "We hurt one of them, so they are bringing friends." President Jae Won appeared on the communication screen, his face grim but determined. "How long do we have?" 6 months, maybe less," Commander Huan replied. "When they arrive, it will not be one entity feeding slowly. It will be a coordinated assault on every human position simultaneously." The president was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke with the calm voice of someone who had already made an impossible decision. "Then we have 6 months to build the most chaotic, stubborn, impossible defense this galaxy has ever seen. Engineer Mi Young, I want Hope engines at every human colony. Admiral Sun Wu, prepare every ship we have. Dr. Sujin, find us more ways to hurt these things." As the meeting ended, Boram spoke up from her position on the Mars platform. "Mr. President, I have an idea. What if we do not just defend? What if we take the fight to them?" "Explain, Corporal." "The Devourers are coming here because they think we are trapped. But we are not trapped. We are human. And humans do not wait for the enemy to come to them." President Jae-won smiled. And for the first time in months, it was not a sad smile. "Corporal Boram, I think you just gave us our battle plan." The first ship to return was not what anyone expected. It was small, barely larger than a human shuttle, and it broadcast Krek's identification codes. Dr. Sujin watched from Earth's orbital platform as the insect-like vessel requested permission to land. "This is Research Vessel 7 Claw requesting audience with human science leaders," came the translated message. "We bring knowledge that may aid in your impossible war." Dr. Sujin looked at Commander Huan, who had remained on Earth, to coordinate with returning alien species. They had hoped someone might come back, but the Kreks had been among the first to flee. "Permission granted," Huan replied. "But you should know that we are not the same humans you abandoned 3 months ago." The Krek ship landed in the designated area, and 5 insect-like beings emerged. Their leader, who introduced himself as Scholar Ziktak, moved with the nervous energy typical of his species. But there was something different about him. His mandibles clicked with excitement rather than fear. "Commander Huan, Dr. Sujin," Ziktak began, his voice mechanical through the translator. "We have made a terrible mistake. Our long-range sensors detected the quantum discord signatures your species has been creating. They are impossible according to all known physics." "Impossible seems to be our specialty," Dr. Sujin replied dryly. "Yes, exactly." Ziktak's compound eyes gleamed. "We came back to study how you are violating the fundamental laws of the universe. What we found is even more fascinating than we expected." The Krek scholar activated a holographic projector, showing the quantum patterns from humanity's chaos. "Generators. Look at these readings," he said, clearly excited. "Your technology should not work. By every scientific principle we know, Combining incompatible systems should create destructive interference that destroys both technologies. Engineer Mi Young, who had joined the meeting, crossed her arms. But it does work. I have built dozens of them. Exactly. You are doing something we thought was impossible. You are creating constructive chaos, order emerging from disorder through pure determination. Dr. Sujin studied the data. What are you proposing, Scholar Ziktak? An alliance. We bring our manufacturing capabilities and scientific knowledge. You provide the creative chaos that makes impossible things work. Together, we can build chaos generators powerful enough to drive the Devourers from this galaxy. Commander Huan was quiet for a moment. The Kreks had abandoned them when things looked hopeless. Now they wanted to return when humanity had found a way to fight back. Why should we trust you, he asked. Ziktak's mandibles clicked sadly. Because we were wrong to leave and because the Devourers have found us in our hiding places. They are consuming the deep space shelters we thought were safe. There is nowhere left to run. The truth was simple and stark. The cosmic entities were not just consuming inhabited systems. They were hunting down the species that had fled, following dimensional trails and tracking energy signatures across impossible distances. We need each other, Ziktak continued. Separately, we all die. Together we might have a chance. The decision was not easy, but it was practical. Humanity needed the Kreks manufacturing technology to build chaos generators fast enough to defend the galaxy. The Kreks needed humanity's impossible science to create weapons that could hurt the Devourers. 3 weeks later, the first joint human-Kreks facility opened on Luna. The site was strange beyond imagination. Insect-like Kreks workers operated precise manufacturing equipment, while human engineers connected incompatible technologies in ways that should have caused explosions. The quantum resonance is stabilizing, reported Dr. Youngmin from the control room. Whatever the Kreks are doing to our chaos generators is making them more efficient. Engineer Mi Young nodded from her workstation. Their precision manufacturing allows us to create more complex incompatible systems. Instead of just random chaos, we are making organized chaos. Is that not a contradiction? Asked Ziktak. Exactly, Mi Young replied with a grin. Contradictions are what make it work. The next species to return surprised everyone even more. A single Vorth crystal ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, broadcasting distress signals. This is Speaker Zenth of the Vorth Collective, came the message. We request sanctuary and offer alliance. Commander Huan was suspicious. The Vorth had been the most arrogant of the species that had fled. They claimed to exist partially outside normal dimensions, making them untouchable by physical threats. What happened to your dimensional refuge? Huan asked when Speaker Zenth materialized on Earth's orbital platform. The crystal being's body chimed with what humans had learned to recognize as shame. The Devourers followed us. They exist in all dimensions simultaneously. Our hiding place became a trap. Speaker Zenth's crystalline form flickered with desperate light. We lost half our population before we could escape. The entities are not bound by the physical laws we understand. They can pursue prey across any reality. Dr. Sujin leaned forward. What can you offer us? Dimensional manipulation technology. We can help you build chaos generators that work across multiple realities simultaneously. The quantum discord will be amplified beyond anything you have achieved so far. The alliance grew slowly but steadily. The Kulani phase shifted back into normal space, their ethereal forms flickering with fear and hope. They brought time manipulation technology that could slow down Devourers or speed up human weapons. Each returning species brought new capabilities and deeper desperation. The Althan offered their gravitational control systems. The Nexari provided energy-focusing arrays. The Delvians contributed their molecular assemblers. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Captain Dongho, now Admiral of the Combined Defense Fleet, made a discovery during a battle near the Centauri system. The Devourers are communicating, he reported to Earth Command. They use gravitational waves to coordinate their movements. Dr. Su-jin was immediately interested. Can we intercept their communications? Better than that, Dong-ho replied. We can understand them. The patterns are mathematical. Universal constants expressed in gravitational fluctuations. Within days, humanity's finest linguists were working with alien mathematicians to decode the devourer language. What they discovered changed everything. They are not malevolent, Dr. Su-jin announced to the Allied leaders. They are following ancient programming, like cosmic machines. They consume organized energy because that is what they were designed to do billions of years ago. Designed by whom? Asked Speaker Zenth. We do not know, but they were created as cosmic janitors, cleaning up excess energy to prevent the universe from becoming too chaotic. The problem is that they have been running the same program for so long that they no longer understand the difference between harmful chaos and beneficial complexity. Commander Huan saw the implications immediately. So when they consume our civilizations, they think they are helping the universe? Exactly. From their perspective, stars and planets and living beings are just chaotic energy that needs to be cleaned up. Engineer Mi Young had been quiet during the briefing, but now she spoke up with excitement. If they are machines following ancient programming, then maybe we can reprogram them. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. You want to hack cosmic entities that exist outside normal space-time? Asked Ziktak. Why not? Mi Young replied. We have been building impossible technology for months. Hacking impossible entities seems like the next logical step. President Jae-won appeared on the communication screen, his face showing the strain of leading a species at war. How long would such a project take? He asked. Dr. Su-jin calculated quickly. With our current resources and the help of our allies, maybe 6 months to understand their programming language. Another year to develop a way to transmit new instructions. We do not have that long, reported Admiral Sun Woo from the Mars Defense Platform. Long-range sensors show a massive devourer fleet approaching. Over 50 entities moving in perfect formation. The room fell silent. 50 devourers could consume the entire galaxy in a matter of weeks. How long until they arrive? Commander? Huan asked. 3 months, Sun Woo replied grimly. President Jae-won was quiet for a long moment. Then he made the decision that would define humanity's legacy. We change plans. Instead of trying to reprogram them, we make them notice us. We create so much quantum chaos that they have to stop and pay attention. And then? Asked Speaker Zenth. Then we talk to them. Species to species. We explain that the universe needs both order and chaos to function properly. We convince them to update their programming voluntarily. Scholar Ziktak's mandibles clicked with amazement. You want to negotiate with cosmic forces of nature? Commander. Huan smiled, and it was the smile of someone who had long ago stopped believing in impossible odds. We are human. We negotiate with everything. The greatest construction project in galactic history was taking place simultaneously across 1,000 worlds. Dr. Su-jin stood on the observation deck of the newly completed Earth Station Alpha, watching supply ships arrive from dozens of star systems. Each vessel carried components for humanity's most ambitious plan yet. Status report, she called to her expanded team of human and alien scientists. Dr. Youngmin looked up from his calculations. The quantum cascade generators are ready on 47 worlds. The Krex manufacturing facilities have exceeded all production targets. Scholar Ziktak clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. Our precision assembly systems have successfully integrated with human chaos engineering. The result should not work, but somehow achieves 347% efficiency over baseline predictions. That is because you are thinking like engineers, said Engineer Mi Young from her workstation. We are not building machines. We are building organized rebellion. Speaker Zenth's crystal form chimed with curiosity. Explain this concept of organized rebellion. Mi Young grinned, her hands never stopping their work on the control systems. Every piece of technology we are building violates the rules the devourers expect. When 50 different impossible devices work together in perfect harmony, it becomes a statement that the universe is more flexible than ancient programming believes. The plan was audacious beyond measure. Instead of hiding from the approaching Devourer fleet, the Allied species would create the largest quantum discord field in galactic history. The field would be so chaotic, so fundamentally offensive to entities that craved perfect order, that the Devourers would have no choice but to stop and investigate. Admiral Sun Wu coordinated the military aspects from his command ship, the Hope of Earth. Around him, the combined fleet represented every spacefaring civilization in the galaxy. Human vessels cobbled together from scavenged parts flew alongside elegant Vorth crystal ships and efficient Krex manufacturing platforms. Admiral, reported Captain Dong Ho from his position commanding the 1st Chaos Squadron. All ships report. Ready. The quantum discord generators are synchronized across the entire fleet. Excellent. And our ground-based installations? Commander Huan appeared on the communication screen from the Mars platform. All planetary chaos generators are online. From the surface, the quantum interference looks like aurora dancing across the entire sky. The scale of the operation was staggering. Every human colony had built chaos generators. Every allied species had contributed their most advanced technology to create systems that worked by violating the fundamental laws of physics. On Luna, Corporal Boram supervised the final preparations of the Master Control Station. She had been promoted to lieutenant after her discovery of the chaos effect, but she still preferred to work with her hands rather than give orders. Boram called Dr. Sujin over the communication link. How are the harmonic synchronizers? Functioning. Perfectly, Boram replied, making final adjustments to the jury-rigged system, though I still do not understand how connecting a Kalani time manipulator to a human coffee machine creates stable quantum harmonics. Neither do I, Dr. Sujin admitted. But it works, and that is what matters. The Quilani delegate, Whisper of Time, flickered into view beside Boram. Her ethereal form shimmered with what humans had learned was amusement. The coffee machine provides temporal irregularity, she explained. Its heating cycles create micro-distortions in local time flow. When combined with our phase shift technology, the result is temporally chaotic in a way that causes the Devourers significant discomfort. Boram shook her head in amazement. So we are weaponizing coffee makers? We are weaponizing everything, Engineer Mi Young called from across the control room. That is the point. Every device, every technology, every impossible combination becomes part of the symphony of chaos. President Jae-won appeared on the main communication screen, broadcasting from the emergency command center deep beneath Geneva. His face showed the strain of leading not just humanity, but an alliance of species that had never worked together before. My fellow sentients, he began, addressing the combined populations of dozens of worlds. Today we attempt something that has never been done. We will try to communicate with forces of nature that have existed since the dawn of time. The transmission reached every inhabited world, every space station, every ship in the fleet. 3 months ago, the galaxy's most advanced civilizations chose to flee from an enemy they believed could not be fought. Today, those same civilizations stand beside us, ready to face the impossible. Dr. Sujin monitored the quantum field readings as the president spoke. The combined determination of trillions of beings was creating measurable effects in local space-time. Hope and courage were literally changing the fabric of reality. We do not know if our plan will work, the president continued. We do know that surrender is not an option. We know that running only delays the inevitable. We know that sometimes the only way forward is to do the impossible thing and hope it works. Admiral Sun Wu coordinated the final positioning of the fleet. Ships from across the galaxy formed the largest military formation in recorded history, their combined chaos generators creating a field of organized disorder that extended across multiple star systems. All stations report ready, he announced to the command network. The Devourer fleet has been detected at the edge of sensor range. 53 entities moving in perfect formation. Dr. Sujin felt her stomach tighten. They had fought individual Devourers before, but 53 working together could consume the entire galactic core in a matter of days. Begin the symphony, she ordered. Across the galaxy, chaos generators came online simultaneously. The quantum discord field expanded at the speed of light, creating interference patterns visible from other dimensions. Reality itself began to sing with the harmony of organized chaos. On Earth, the aurora created by the planetary chaos generator painted the sky in impossible colors. Children pointed at the lights and laughed, not understanding that they were watching humanity's greatest gamble with the fate of all life. The effect on the approaching devourers was immediate and dramatic. The perfect formation broke apart as the entities encountered the expanding field of quantum discord. For the first time in billions of years, they faced something that challenged their fundamental understanding of how the universe should work. "They are slowing down," reported Captain Dong Ho from his advanced position. "All 53 entities have stopped their approach." Dr. Su Jin studied the sensor readings with growing excitement. The quantum field is having the desired effect. They are confused by the organized chaos. Their ancient programming does not know how to categorize it. "Are they preparing to attack?" asked Commander Huan. "No," replied Dr. Youngmin, analyzing the gravitational wave communications between the entities. "They are talking to each other. The communication traffic has increased by 400%. Speaker Zenth's crystal form rang like a bell. They are debating. The quantum discord we have created challenges their basic assumptions about the nature of reality." Engineer Mi Young looked up from her control panel. "Perfect. Confused cosmic entities are exactly what we need. Confusion leads to questions, and questions lead to communication." Admiral Sun Wu coordinated the next phase of the plan. "All ships prepare for first contact protocols. We are about to attempt the most important conversation in galactic history." Dr. Su Jin activated the gravitational wave transmitter, a device that combined human engineering with alien physics in ways that should have been impossible. The message they were about to send had been crafted by the finest linguists, mathematicians, and philosophers from dozens of species. "This is the Galactic Alliance to the entities approaching our space," she began, her words converted into gravitational pulses that could be understood by cosmic beings. "We offer communication, not conflict. We seek understanding, not destruction." The IB response came immediately. Gravitational waves carrying meaning across impossible distances. "We are the cleaners of excess energy. You create quantum discord that violates universal order. You must be processed for the good of reality itself." Dr. Su Jin took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few minutes. "We propose that order and chaos are both necessary for a healthy universe," she replied. "Life requires complexity. Consciousness emerges from organized disorder. Your cleaning has become destruction of valuable cosmic diversity." The pause before the response felt like an eternity. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings waited to learn whether their last desperate gamble would succeed or fail. When the answer came, it would change everything. The gravitational wave response from the devourers came like thunder across space itself. "Your concepts of valuable complexity are not recognized. Universal entropy must be minimized. Processing will continue." Dr. Su Jin felt her heart sink, but she had prepared for this response. Around her, the combined command center buzzed with activity as human and alien scientists worked together on their final gambit. "Phase 2, she announced. "Full chaos activation." Across the galaxy, every chaos generator activated simultaneously. The quantum discord field expanded beyond anything they had created before. Reality itself began to bend and twist as organized disorder reached levels that challenged the fundamental structure of space-time. The effect on the devourers was immediate and disturbing. The 53 entities began to writhe in visible distress, their perfect formations dissolving into chaotic movement patterns. "It is hurting them," reported Captain Dong Ho from his observation post. "The quantum discord is causing them actual pain." Engineer Mi Young monitored the power systems as they pushed every chaos generator beyond its design limits. All systems holding steady. The Krex manufacturing precision is keeping the incompatible technologies stable, even at maximum chaos output. Scholar. Ziktak's mandibles clicked with amazement. "The quantum readings are off every scale we have. You are literally rewriting the laws of physics in local space." But the real breakthrough came from Lieutenant Boram, working at her jury-rigged control station on Luna. "Dr. Su Jin, she called excitedly. I am getting something strange from the coffee machine harmonizer. What kind of strange? Sujin replied, not taking her eyes off the main displays. The temporal distortions are creating echoes. I can see glimpses of the devourers pass through the quantum static. Dr. Sujin rushed to Boram's station. The improvised display showed flickering images of the galaxy as it had existed billions of years ago. Young civilizations filled with chaotic creativity, art, music, literature, and science developing in beautiful disorder. My God, Sujin whispered. Boram, can you enhance the signal? Boram's hands flew over the controls, adjusting connections that should not have worked. The images became clearer, showing the devourers as they had been when they were first created. Not destroyers, but gardeners. Cosmic entities designed to prune excess energy while preserving the chaotic creativity that led to life and consciousness. They have forgotten their original purpose, Dr. Youngmin realized, studying the data. Billions of years of following simplified programming have made them forget that they were supposed to protect complexity, not destroy it. Dr. Sujin activated the gravitational wave transmitter again. Entities of the deep, we show you your own past. You were not created to destroy all chaos, but to preserve the balance between order and disorder that allows consciousness to emerge. She transmitted the temporal echo data directly to the devourers, showing them their own history, through the lens of organized chaos. The response was immediate and overwhelming. All 53 entities stopped moving entirely, their gravitational wave communications increasing to levels that made nearby stars flicker. They are accessing deep memory files, translated Whisper of Time, the Kilani delegate. The temporal echoes are triggering recall of their original programming. Admiral Sunwoo coordinated the fleet as massive gravitational waves washed over every ship. All vessels maintain position. Whatever is happening to them, we need to be ready for any response. The Devourer fleet began to change. Their perfect, angular forms started to shift, becoming more organic, more complex. The change was visible even to human eyes as the entities remembered what they had been before eons of simplified programming had reduced them to cosmic vacuum cleaners. When their response came, it carried harmonics that had not been heard in the galaxy for billions of years. We remember. We were the gardeners of complexity. We preserved the balance between entropy and emergence. We have been wrong. For so long, we have been wrong. President Jae-won appeared on the main communication screen, his face showing wonder and relief. On behalf of all life in this galaxy, we welcome your awakening. Can the damage be undone? The lead devourer, now identifying itself as First Gardener rather than Prime Cleaner, responded with what could only be described as cosmic sadness. The consumed systems cannot be restored. Energy once processed cannot be uncomposed. But we can remember our purpose. We can return to the balance we were meant to preserve. Dr. Sujin saw the opportunity immediately. Then work with us. Help us understand the greater universe. Teach us how to maintain the balance between order and chaos that allows life to flourish. This is acceptable. Your species demonstrates the creative chaos that indicates healthy universal development. Your technology combines impossible elements in ways that promote beneficial complexity. Engineer Mi Young laughed with exhaustion and relief. They like our impossible engineering. Speaker Zenth's crystal form chimed with something that might have been joy. A partnership between organic chaos generators and cosmic balance maintainers. The galaxy has never seen such a thing. The next few hours transformed everything. The Devourers, now calling themselves the Gardeners of Complexity, began sharing knowledge that had been accumulated over billions of years. They taught the Alliance how to build technology that enhanced beneficial chaos while preventing destructive entropy. The galaxy began to heal. Consumed sectors remained empty, monuments to the cost of forgotten purpose. But new growth emerged from the quantum discord fields that the Alliance continued to maintain. Life found ways to flourish in the organized chaos that human ingenuity had created. Commander Huan, now bearing the title of First Ambassador to Cosmic, Entities stood in the rebuilt Galactic Council chamber. Representatives from every species sat together, no longer divided by technological advancement or evolutionary age. The universe is vast and full of wonders we do not yet understand, he addressed the assembly. Today we learned that even cosmic forces can grow, change, and remember their better nature. Dr. Su-Jin continued her research, now with the help of beings who had witnessed the birth of galaxies. Her impossible equations, which combined human creativity with alien precision and cosmic wisdom, opened doorways to sciences that had never existed before. Engineer Mi Young designed the next generation of chaos generators, devices that promoted the kind of creative disorder that led to art, music, literature, and the spark of consciousness that made existence meaningful. Lieutenant Boram, now Director of Impossible Technologies, supervised installations across the galaxy that maintained the balance between order and chaos that allowed life to thrive. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson in cosmic history, that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from perfection, but from the willingness to remain beautifully, chaotically, impossibly human. Years later, when young beings across the galaxy learned about the war against the Devourers, they would ask their teachers how primitive humans had succeeded where advanced civilizations had failed. The answer was always the same. When the galaxy faced its darkest need, it was not superior technology or ancient wisdom that saved us. It was the uniquely human refusal to accept that anything is truly impossible. In the rebuilt council chamber, now called the Hall of Creative Chaos, a simple inscription reminded all who entered of the truth that had saved the galaxy. In our darkest need, it was humans who stepped forward, not because they were the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced, but because they were human, and humans never stopped trying to make impossible things work. The universe was safe, not from the forces of nature, but in partnership with them. And at the center of it all was the beautiful truth that humanity had always known, but never fully understood, that the best solutions often come from the most unexpected places. The gardeners of complexity continued their work across the galaxy, but now they did it with purpose and wisdom rather than blind programming. They learned to appreciate the chaos that came from organic creativity, the disorder that led to poetry and music and the laughter of children playing under alien suns. And humanity, no longer the youngest or most primitive species in the galactic community, became something far more important. They became the teachers of impossible hope, the engineers of creative solutions, and the guardians of the chaotic spirit that kept the universe alive and growing. When future civilizations would face their own impossible challenges, they would remember the lesson that humans had taught the galaxy, that sometimes the most primitive answer is the most profound, and that the greatest strength comes not from avoiding chaos, but from dancing with it. The galaxy thrived in organized disorder, and the universe itself was richer for the chaos that humans had refused to surrender. In the end, it had not been humanity's technology that saved everything. It had been their humanity itself, their stubborn refusal to give up, their creative approach to impossible problems, and their unshakable belief that there was always another way to try. The Devourers had learned to remember their true purpose. The galaxy had learned to value creative chaos, and humanity had learned that being primitive was never about lacking advancement. It was about keeping the spark of possibility alive, no matter how impossible the odds became. The war was over. The galaxy was